In this video, we're uncovering 25 forgotten cooking tricks that your grandparents and great-grandparents used to survive tough times, save every penny, and turn scraps into gold. These aren't fancy techniques or viral trends. They're real methods that helped families cook smarter, waste less, and eat better, on a tight budget. From Depression-era broth to whole animal cooking and regrowing vegetables on a windowsill, these tips are timeless, effective, and shockingly relevant today. Number 1. Depression-era peel broth that turns scraps into gold. During the Great Depression, every edible part of a vegetable was used. Families didn't toss onion skins, potato peels, carrot tops, or parsley stems. They collected them in tins or pots to create broth. This scrap stock simmered on stovetops for hours, transforming what most now throw away into rich, flavorful liquid gold. Store-bought bouillon cubes existed but were a luxury at a penny apiece. Instead, home cooks simmered scraps all day, skimming off broth as needed for soups, gravies, and sauces. This resourceful habit saved families $1 to $2 a week, no small sum in the 1930s. Fast forward to today, and the principle remains just as relevant. Instead of tossing trimmings, freeze them in a resealable bag during the week. Once full, throw them in a pot, add water and herbs, and simmer for 2 hours. You'll get a rich MSG-free stock without opening your wallet. It's not only more flavorful than boxed versions, but it also eliminates packaging waste and reduces reliance on processed ingredients. Families that adopt this weekly ritual can save $150 to $200 annually, plus reduce food waste by up to 30%. What was once a necessity is now a powerful way to stretch your grocery dollars and eat better. Number 2. DIY flavor base from kitchen staples. Generations of home cooks knew that most savory recipes start the same way, with a base of chopped onion, carrot, and celery. Known as mirepoix in classical cooking, this trio adds deep flavor to soups, sauces, stews, and roasts. Instead of prepping it every single night, thrifty families would chop it in bulk, sauté until soft, and freeze it in small containers or ice cube trays. These pre-portioned flavor bombs meant faster meals, fewer dirty dishes, and less temptation to order expensive takeout after work. Even better, this method uses vegetables before they spoil. That slightly bendy carrot or half an onion in the fridge drawer still has plenty of flavor once cooked down. You can also throw in garlic, peppers, leeks, or mushrooms if you have them. Studies show this habit can cut weeknight prep time by up to 30%, while reducing food waste by as much as 40%. Financially, it can save a family $400 to $600 a year when you factor in fewer convenience foods and takeout orders. It's a small shift with a big impact: more home-cooked meals, faster prep, and fewer ingredients ending up in the trash. Number 3. Proper herb storage. That adds weeks of shelf life. Fresh herbs can elevate a meal instantly, but they're one of the fastest items to go bad in your fridge. Most people store them incorrectly, just tossing them in a produce drawer where they wilt or rot in a few days. But old-school cooks knew better. For woody herbs like rosemary, thyme, and sage, the trick is to treat them like flowers. Trim the stems, place them in a glass jar with about an inch of water, cover loosely with a plastic bag, and refrigerate. For tender herbs like cilantro, parsley, and basil, gently wrap them in a damp paper towel and place them inside a breathable bag with a few air holes. This simple method keeps herbs fresh for up to 2 weeks, sometimes longer. If any herbs still start to fade, you can blend them into herb butter, pesto, or oil cubes and freeze for later. Considering that fresh herbs cost $2 to $4 per bunch, this storage method can easily save up to $15 to $20 per month. It also means your recipes will actually benefit from the herbs you buy, instead of finding them blackened and slimy when you finally need them. Number 4. Homemade breadcrumbs from bread ends. The ends of sandwich loaves, often tossed or ignored, have more potential than most people realize. During the mid-20th century, thrifty cooks collected these heels in paper bags or freezer containers, dried them out, and ground them into breadcrumbs. These homemade versions are cheaper, more flavorful, and often healthier than the store-bought ones, which are packed with preservatives and salt. To make your own, collect bread ends or stale slices. Let them dry out naturally or toast them at 300 degrees Fahrenheit, then pulse in a food processor. Add garlic powder, Italian herbs, paprika, or grated cheese to make your own seasoned varieties. This gives you gourmet-level results for pennies. Specialty breadcrumb mixes can cost $5 to $10 per small container at grocery stores, especially the panko or herb-infused ones. If your family regularly eats bread, making your own crumbs can save $40 or more per year, and it eliminates waste from something you already bought. These crumbs are perfect for meatballs, casserole toppings, fried chicken coatings, or stuffing. It's one of those simple habits that turns trash into treasure. No extra effort, just a shift in how you think about leftovers. Number 5, the perpetual soup technique to eliminate waste. Before refrigeration, many American families kept a pot of soup simmering on the stove for days. It was called a perpetual soup, a never-ending meal that changed every day as new ingredients were added. One night, it might include leftover roast chicken, the next day some extra rice, and by Friday, a few chopped vegetables or noodles. This evolving dish minimized waste and ensured that no scrap of food went unused. In today's terms, it means collecting cooked leftovers from the week, half an onion, some roasted carrots, a cup of beans, and transforming them into a new pot of soup every weekend. Add broth or even water, season, and let it simmer. It's an easy way to get multiple meals from bits and pieces that might otherwise be thrown away. According to food waste studies, Americans discard up to 40% of what they buy, much of it in the form of small, unused leftovers. By adopting this habit, households can save up to $1,000 annually. It also means fewer grocery runs, less pressure to plan complicated meals, and a comforting, nutritious dish always ready to go in the fridge. Number 6, ingredient substitution saves last-minute store trips. Nothing derails a home-cooked dinner like realizing you're missing one ingredient. That's when most people dash to the store and walk out $30 poorer thanks to impulse buys. But older generations didn't do that. They used clever substitutions. No buttermilk? Add 1 tablespoon of lemon juice or vinegar to a cup of milk and let it sit for 10 minutes. Out of brown sugar? Mix white sugar with molasses. Need cake flour? Use regular flour, subtract 1 tablespoon per cup, and replace it with cornstarch. These swaps take seconds, but prevent expensive and unnecessary trips to the store. Learning a handful of such kitchen hacks not only improves your cooking skills, it protects your budget. Studies show that impulse spending during last-minute grocery trips averages around $20 to $25 per visit. Multiply that by a couple of times per month, and you're looking at hundreds in wasted spending annually. By mastering 10 to 15 common substitutions, you can confidently cook from your pantry, reduce stress, and drastically cut down on grocery expenses over time, all without sacrificing flavor or texture in your meals. Number 7, meat extenders that reduce your protein budget. During World War II and the years that followed, meat was expensive and often hard to find. Home cooks learned to stretch a single pound of ground meat into meals for the whole family using clever extenders. These included lentils, mashed beans, chopped mushrooms, shredded zucchini, cooked rice, or even rolled oats. Not only did this technique make meals cheaper, but it also added nutrients, fiber, and texture. For example, adding 1 cup of cooked brown lentils to a pound of ground beef increases the serving yield from 4 people to 6 or more, without anyone noticing a taste difference. In today's economy, where meat prices have increased over 20% in recent years, this trick is still gold. Families that use extenders regularly can cut their protein costs by 30% or more, saving $50 to $75 a month or more, depending on how often they cook with meat. This is especially useful for large families or meal preppers. Plus, many of these add-ins lower the dish's overall fat content, making meals not just cheaper, but healthier too. Number 8, regrow vegetables from scraps. It might sound like a TikTok trend, but regrowing vegetables from kitchen scraps has been around for generations. Green onions regrow easily when placed in a glass of water. New shoots emerge within days. Celery and romaine lettuce regrow from their bases. Garlic cloves can sprout and be planted. Sprouting potatoes? Don't toss them. Plant them in containers or garden soil and harvest new ones in a few weeks. Even beet tops and carrot greens are edible and nutrient-rich. In apartments, a few jars on the windowsill can yield fresh ingredients for soups, salads, or garnishes. Families that do this regularly can save hundreds per year on produce, especially herbs and greens. According to gardening experts, this simple habit can save $500 to $600 annually with minimal effort or space. It's sustainable, kid-friendly, and completely free. Plus, it reduces packaging waste and gives you greater control over your food supply, even if you don't have a garden. Number 9, mastering the freezer. Your freezer is one of the most underused tools in your kitchen. When used correctly, it's like a second pantry that can preserve meals, ingredients, and seasonal produce for months. But the key is doing it right. First, blanch vegetables before freezing to preserve texture and nutrients. Flash freeze fruits like berries or sliced bananas on a baking sheet, then transfer to bags so they don't clump. Always remove excess air from storage containers to avoid freezer burn. You can also freeze sauces, cooked beans, chopped herbs in oil, and even leftover broth in ice cube trays. Families who use their freezers strategically can save $1,500 to $3,000 per year by buying in-season produce at low prices, batch cooking meals in advance, and reducing food waste. Frozen leftovers mean fewer nights resorting to takeout. Proper freezing can extend the life of food from 1 to 2 months to nearly a year. It also lets you take advantage of grocery sales and warehouse club deals without fear of spoilage. Freezing right isn't just a smart habit, it's a long-term money-saving strategy. Number 10, tenderizing inexpensive cuts into premium meals. Not all meat is created equal, but with the right techniques, even cheap cuts can become fork tender and flavorful. In past decades, families often bought chuck, round, or brisket because they were affordable and could be transformed with time. Tenderizing methods include pounding with a mallet, slicing against the grain, or marinating in acidic liquids like vinegar, citrus, or yogurt. Slow cooking or braising turns tough connective tissue into soft, juicy meat. These methods don't require expensive equipment, just patience and know-how. America's Test Kitchen has shown that a $4 per pound cut can taste like a $12 steak with the right prep. For families who cook meat 3 to 5 times a week, this can result in monthly savings of $40 to $60 or more. Plus, you gain the flexibility to buy what's on sale instead of being limited to premium-priced cuts. Tenderizing also allows for better portion control and less waste, since even leftovers stay delicious the next day. Number 11, beans and lentils, the original budget protein. For centuries, beans and lentils have been the protein of choice for people who wanted to feed a family without spending a fortune. In the 1930s and 40s, they were essential for survival during tough times. And by the 1970s, they made a strong comeback during inflation and fuel shortages. Today, they remain one of the most cost-effective ways to add protein, fiber, and minerals to your meals. A single pound of dried beans costs around $1.50 and yields 6 to 8 generous servings. Compared to meat, that's pennies per plate. Cooking beans from scratch may seem time-consuming, but with modern appliances like pressure cookers or slow cookers, it becomes easy. Soaking overnight softens the beans, and a pressure cooker can reduce cooking time to under 30 minutes. Lentils don't even require soaking. Add them to soups, salads, stews, or mash them into burger patties. You can season them endlessly. Think cumin and garlic for Mexican style, or turmeric and ginger for Indian flavor profiles. According to studies by the American Pulse Association, swapping beans or lentils into just 2 meals per week can save a family of 4 over $750 per year. Besides savings, there are health perks. Beans are low in fat, high in fiber, and can reduce cholesterol. Plus, they're shelf-stable, making them ideal for pantry storage or emergency stockpiling. In short, learning to cook with pulses gives you flexibility, nutritional value, and big savings. Whether used as a full meat replacement or a cheap extender, beans and lentils remain one of the smartest and most traditional ways to cut grocery costs without sacrificing substance or flavor. Number 12. Blend your own spice mixes. Buying pre-made spice mixes is convenient, but you're paying a high premium for something you likely already have in your pantry. A basic taco seasoning or Italian herb blend at the store can cost $3 to $5 for a small jar and often includes fillers like salt, sugar, or anti-caking agents. In contrast, you can make dozens of servings for pennies using pantry staples: cumin, garlic powder, onion powder, paprika, oregano, thyme, and chili powder. Homemakers in the 1950s and 60s routinely blended their own mixes to save money and customize flavors. They stored spice blends in labeled jars, old coffee tins, or even recycled containers, which eliminated packaging waste too. This approach gives you total control over flavor and sodium, perfect for families watching their salt intake. It also keeps herbs and spices fresher since you can use them up before expiration. The average household spends over $120 to $150 a year on bottled spice blends. By creating your own in bulk, you cut this by 70% or more. Plus, mixing your own seasonings encourages variety in meals. Make a smoky barbecue rub, a Mediterranean lemon herb blend, or a warm chai mix for tea and baking, all with ingredients you already own. It's frugal, fun, and incredibly flavorful. Number 13, homemade stock, liquid gold. Most store-bought broths are just flavored water sold at high markup. A single quart can cost up to $4, and most contain preservatives or high sodium. Yet the ingredients needed to make rich, flavorful stock are the very ones we often throw away. Bones from roasted chicken or beef, onion skins, celery leaves, carrot tops, and herb stems. Until the 1950s, nearly every household made stock from scratch. It was economical and essential. Families kept a stock bag in the freezer. Every scrap went in until it was full, then simmered for hours with water and a bay leaf. The result? A deeply flavored broth far superior to anything from a box. Homemade stock is versatile. Use it in soups, stews, grains like rice or quinoa, or to deglaze pans for sauces. Freeze in cubes or small containers for easy access. If you make just 1 gallon of stock monthly using kitchen scraps, that's over $200 saved annually. It also means fewer packaging materials and better tasting meals. For serious cooks or those feeding a large family, this is a no-brainer. It's one of the most cost-effective, nourishing, and satisfying cooking traditions you can revive with almost zero investment. Number 14, fermentation and pickling. Before refrigeration, preserving food was an art and a necessity. Fermenting and pickling were cornerstones of that tradition. Sauerkraut, kimchi, pickled cucumbers, and fermented hot sauces weren't trendy. They were survival food. They're also rich in probiotics and vitamins, which means you're saving money on supplements and healthcare too. Homemade sauerkraut requires only cabbage, salt, and a clean jar. Fermented yogurt and kefir need only milk and a culture starter, which can often be reused. Even basic pickles require little more than vinegar, sugar, and salt. These ingredients are cheap, widely available, and shelf-stable. Families that make their own fermented products can save between $500 and $800 annually, especially if they frequently buy probiotic-rich items like kombucha, kefir, or organic pickles. Once prepared, these foods last for weeks or months, making them excellent additions to sandwiches, salads, or rice bowls. In addition to saving money, fermentation cuts food waste. Got soft carrots? Pickle them. Excess cabbage? Make kraut. Fermentation also increases the digestibility of vegetables and improves gut health, which has ripple effects on immune function. Bringing back this time-tested method means eating better, wasting less, and spending far less than you would at any health food store. Number 15, leftovers as planned-overs. In the past, leftovers weren't just reheated, they were transformed. A Sunday roast might become Monday's hash, Tuesday's soup, and Wednesday's pot pie. This creative reuse of food ensured nothing went to waste and saved families hundreds of dollars annually. The key was mindset, plan meals with leftovers in mind. Modern cooks can apply the same strategy. Roast extra vegetables for grain bowls or omelets. Use cooked rice in stir-fries or stuffed peppers. Turn old bread into strata or French toast. Leftover pasta becomes pasta frittata. Even last night's grilled chicken can be shredded for tacos, sandwiches, or soup. On average, American households throw out $1,500 of food per year, much of it cooked and forgotten. By planning for reuse, you extend each meal's value and slash waste. Designate one fridge shelf for use first items, and build at least one meal per week entirely from what's already cooked. Cooking this way also saves time and energy. Instead of starting from scratch each night, you're assembling components. It reduces dirty dishes, lowers your gas or electricity usage, and helps you get dinner on the table faster. It's smart, sustainable, and surprisingly satisfying. Number 16, traditional thickeners beat modern powders. Before cornstarch packets and specialty starches became kitchen staples, cooks relied on simpler, more versatile ingredients to thicken soups, stews, gravies, and sauces. These included flour, pureed beans, mashed potatoes, oats, breadcrumbs, or even egg yolks. These traditional methods are not only cheaper, but also healthier and more widely available. Take a classic roux. Equal parts fat, like butter or oil, and flour, cooked to various shades of brown depending on your dish. It forms the base of gravies, cheese sauces, and stews. Mashed beans or lentils can thicken chili or soup while adding protein and fiber. Day-old bread or breadcrumbs are excellent for thickening tomato sauce or meatballs, and rolled oats work well in meatloaf or even creamy soups. Avoiding prepackaged thickeners not only saves money, but also reduces pantry clutter and avoids hidden preservatives. Specialty thickeners can cost $3 to $7 per small package, while the traditional ingredients cost pennies and are likely already in your pantry. This old-fashioned approach encourages flexibility and creative cooking. It's a skill that reduces waste and turns leftover grains or bread into functional, flavor-enhancing tools. Reviving this knowledge can save $50 to $75 annually, while simplifying your shopping list and deepening your understanding of how flavors and textures are built from the ground up. Number 17. Smarter produce storage. One of the easiest ways to cut food costs is by making fresh produce last longer, and that starts with knowing how to store it properly. Many people unknowingly store fruits and vegetables in ways that shorten their shelf life. For example, apples and bananas emit ethylene gas, which accelerates ripening. If stored next to leafy greens, they'll cause early spoilage. Onions and potatoes should be kept separately in a cool, dark place, but not in the fridge. Berries last longer when washed in a vinegar water solution, dried thoroughly, and stored in breathable containers. Herbs stay fresher when stored upright in water, like flowers, or wrapped in damp paper towels. Leafy greens keep longer if lined with paper towels to absorb moisture. These small habits can extend the life of your produce by 3 to 14 days, depending on the item. According to food economists, the average household throws away $300 to $500 worth of spoiled fruits and vegetables each year. That's money gone simply because of poor storage technique. By implementing better produce management, you're not just saving cash, you're reducing grocery runs, helping the environment, and ensuring your meals are always stocked with fresh ingredients. A few containers, labels, and breathable bags can go a long way in creating a more sustainable and efficient kitchen. Number 18. Weekly batch cooking. Our grandmothers often cooked in large batches, not because it was trendy, but because it made economic sense. Cooking a big pot of beans, roasting several trays of vegetables, or baking 2 loaves of bread at once saved time, fuel, and money. With today's busy schedules, the logic is stronger than ever. Batch cooking means setting aside one day, usually Sunday, to prep ingredients or even full meals that can be used throughout the week. Roast a chicken and use the meat for sandwiches, soups, or salads. Make a big pot of chili or stew that can be portioned out for multiple meals. Cook a batch of grains like rice or quinoa for bowls, side dishes, or stir-fries. Time studies from Cornell University show batch cooking cuts total weekly cooking time by up to 40%. Financially, the savings come from fewer takeout meals, reduced energy use, and less food spoilage. Many batch cooks report saving $2,000 to $2,500 per year this way. It also reduces decision fatigue. You always have a backup plan in the fridge or freezer, making it easier to resist temptation from drive-thrus or frozen pizza. With a little planning, batch cooking becomes one of the most practical, rewarding habits in any frugal kitchen. Number 19. Repurposing cooking fats. Before vegetable oil became cheap and widely available, families carefully saved every bit of cooking fat. Bacon grease, schmaltz, rendered chicken fat, beef drippings, or even leftover butter from baking were stored in jars and reused. These fats added depth to everything from fried potatoes to baked beans and cornbread. Today, the same practice can save money and boost flavor. Instead of throwing out pan drippings or grease, strain and store them in a glass jar in the fridge. Use them to sauté vegetables, make gravies, scramble eggs, or roast potatoes. A tablespoon of bacon fat adds smoky depth without needing to buy expensive seasoning. Saving fats reduces your need for store-bought oils and butters. If you cook bacon once a week, you could collect enough fat to replace up to half your sautéing oil for the week. Over a year, that could mean $60 to $100 saved, more if you cook daily. It's also about sustainability. You're reusing what you already paid for rather than buying another product. Rendered fats can also be frozen for long-term use. Just label and date them. These time-tested habits didn't just stretch budgets. They made food taste better. Number 20. Scrap gardening in the kitchen. Not every piece of kitchen waste belongs in the trash. Many common scraps can be used to enrich soil, fertilize plants, and boost home garden yields. Our grandparents instinctively knew this. Crushed eggshells, used coffee grounds, banana peels, and vegetable trimmings all had secondary uses in the garden. Eggshells add calcium to soil, which helps prevent blossom end rot in tomatoes and peppers. Coffee grounds add nitrogen and improve soil texture. Banana peels can be soaked in water to make a potassium-rich plant tonic. Even the water used to boil eggs or vegetables contains minerals. Let it cool, then use it to water houseplants. Composting these scraps in a backyard bin or even a countertop pail reduces landfill waste and provides free, nutrient-rich material for gardening. According to the National Gardening Association, households that compost and use garden-friendly scraps save $75 to $100 annually on fertilizers and soil amendments. Even apartment dwellers can benefit. A few containers on a balcony or windowsill can turn scrap-based soil into herb gardens or cherry tomato planters. It's a full-circle system: eat, reuse, grow, repeat. Over time, this practice saves money, reduces grocery dependence, and promotes a more self-sufficient kitchen. Number 21, one flour to rule them all. Today's grocery shelves are full of specialized flours: bread flour, cake flour, pastry flour, gluten-free blends, self-rising, whole wheat, and more. But for decades, most households relied on one thing: plain all-purpose flour. Instead of buying a different type for every recipe, home bakers adjusted technique, moisture, and fat content to suit their needs. This approach saved space, money, and confusion. Need cake flour? Use all-purpose flour, then remove 1 tablespoon per cup and replace it with cornstarch. Want self-rising flour? Add 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder and 1/4 teaspoon of salt per cup. With these basic adjustments, you can replicate nearly every specialty flour with just what's in your pantry. Market research shows the average baking household spends $30 to $50 a year on multiple types of flour, much of which expires before it's used. Consolidating to a single type and learning to adjust saves not only money, but also pantry space and waste. Plus, mastering the properties of flour gives you more control over your baking outcomes. You begin to understand how gluten structure, fat absorption, and liquid balance affect your doughs and batters. It's a return to skill over convenience, and your baked goods will be better for it. Number 22, homemade condiments. Most condiments are just basic pantry ingredients with a fancy label and a hefty markup. Mayonnaise is oil, egg, and lemon juice. Ketchup is tomato paste, vinegar, sugar, and spice. Salad dressings are usually oil, vinegar, herbs, and maybe mustard or honey. These are easy to make in 5 minutes, taste fresher, and can be tailored to your preferences. During the 1940s and 50s, when fridges had limited space and grocery budgets were tight, families commonly made their own sauces weekly. They stored them in jars, reused old glass containers, or whipped them up fresh for each meal. This practice eliminated waste and provided variety. Today, condiments can cost $3 to $7 per bottle. With just a few key ingredients, you can make them for 1/10 of the price. Homemade versions also avoid preservatives, added sugar, and artificial coloring. Plus, they're customizable: more tang, less salt, a hint of spice. For a family that buys multiple condiments monthly, this simple shift can save $200 to $400 annually. It also keeps your fridge clutter-free and reduces packaging waste. And once you start, you might never go back, because your homemade ranch, vinaigrette, or aioli will actually taste better than anything from a bottle. Number 23, eat the whole vegetable. Modern cooking often discards edible parts of vegetables: carrot tops, broccoli stems, beet greens, celery leaves. But traditional cooks knew these scraps weren't just usable, they were nutritious and flavorful. In fact, they often contain more vitamins and fiber than the parts we typically eat. Carrot tops can be blended into pesto or chimichurri. Broccoli stems are tender when peeled and taste great in stir-fries. Beet greens cook like spinach and are loaded with minerals. Even corn cobs can be boiled to create a sweet broth. Celery leaves add brightness to salads and soups. Instead of tossing these parts, think of them as bonus ingredients that you've already paid for. The University of Arizona found that households discard around 14% of their food as prep waste, much of it from trimmed produce. For a family spending $7,000 annually on groceries, that's nearly $1,000 lost. Using whole vegetables slashes that waste and creates more meals from the same basket of ingredients. It also encourages creative cooking. Soups, stocks, stir-fries, salads all become more flavorful, colorful, and nutritious when you use the full plant. The change starts with a shift in mindset. Nothing edible is scrap if you know how to use it, and your wallet will thank you for it. Number 24. Whole animal cooking. For most of human history, animals were used nose to tail. Organs, bones, skin, and even feet had a place in the kitchen. In the past century, supermarket culture shifted us toward prime cuts only: steaks, chicken breasts, pork chops, leaving behind flavorful, affordable, and nutritious parts of the animal. Beef tongue becomes tender and rich when braised. Chicken livers make delicious pâté or fry up crisp. Bones create gelatin-rich broth, while marrow is a delicacy in many cuisines. Even oxtail, once considered butcher's waste, is now prized for its deep flavor in stews. These forgotten cuts are often priced at a fraction of mainstream options. Buying them can cut your meat spending by 30 to 50%, especially if you're cooking for a family. Some butchers will even give bones away for free. Learning to cook whole animal parts might feel intimidating at first, but it's a powerful way to save money, honor the animal, and explore traditional flavors. These dishes often taste better and are more nutrient-dense than lean cuts. Bringing them back into rotation is a return to culinary heritage and an enormous win for your budget. Number 25. Meal planning over impulse buying. Meal planning isn't about rigid routines or Pinterest-perfect charts. It's about making intentional food decisions to reduce waste, time, and cost. In the mid-20th century, families planned weekly meals based on what was in season, what was left over, and what was on sale. This simple habit stretched ingredients and ensured that every dollar spent on food was used to its fullest. Today, the average American spends $1,000 per month on groceries, and much of that goes to waste because of impulse buys and poor planning. Strategic meal planning can reduce your food waste by up to 70% and slash your grocery bill by 25 to 30%. That's a savings of $3,000 to $3,600 annually for a typical family. Start with a rough weekly menu based on what's already in your pantry or fridge. Build meals that use overlapping ingredients. Roast a chicken one day, use leftovers in a salad or soup, and then boil the bones for stock. Shop with a list based on your plan and stick to it. This habit creates rhythm, reduces stress, and helps you get more meals out of the same ingredients. It also puts you back in control of your budget, your schedule, and your kitchen, just like it did for generations before us.